Hello and welcome to another episode of How Round Is Your Roti. Today we're speaking about miscarriages, which is another area that's not widely spoken about within the South Asian community, and yet it impacts so many women and families. The charity Tommy reports that 10 to 20% of women experience early miscarriage, which is in the first 12 weeks of pregnancy, and 3 to 4% of women experience it after 12 weeks. Today, I have with me Asiya, who started the Asian Miscarriage Hub on Instagram and speaks widely on this topic for different charities because she wants to change the narrative around miscarriages in the South Asian community. Asiya, welcome.
Thank you, Priya. Lovely to be here. How are you?
Good, thank you. I'm so glad to have you here today because not many women speak openly about miscarriages and the pain that they go through during that time. So it's lovely for us to have this conversation and hopefully encourage more people to talk about miscarriages.
Mhm.
I wanted to start off just by asking you, why did you set up the Asian Miscarriage Hub?
So it started in 2020 in lockdown, actually. I just had my daughter after 12 years and four miscarriages. And I realized that when I had my daughter, there was a lot of happiness and everybody was happy that I'd finally had my baby and she was here. And I did not feel that support when I lost my baby. And they weren't acknowledged when I lost them. And that's when I realized that there isn't enough South Asians actually speaking about their losses or miscarriages. And we are reluctant to have conversation or support women and men when they go through this.
Yeah, that's so true. That sometimes we hear little nuggets about baby loss and things happening, but it seems very much brushed under the carpet. Where it's like, oh, that happened,
Yeah,
and never spoken about again.
yeah.
I myself haven't gone through it, but I know of people that have gone through it, and it's very brief conversation. Oh, this happened to me, and that was it. Um,
Mm.
it does seem as if within the community, when people are going through it, there needs to be more discussion, more support. I mean, as you were going through that journey of, you said four miscarriages,
Mm.
what was happening for you around that time?
It's just like you said, I had my loss and it'll be like, oh, you lost another, and that was it. And we go on to the next topic, and it's like, well, yes, I did lose another baby, and that was my baby. It's not lost another. I lost another baby. And I think we people don't acknowledge the fact that it was a baby. It's more to do with, oh, you lost another. Okay, let's move on. And for me, it was the acknowledgement side of things. I wanted someone to acknowledge my baby. I wanted to acknowledge my baby. But the community, the people around me found it so difficult to have that conversation that even for me, I found it very difficult to acknowledge the fact that, yes, I'd just given birth to a baby, because my miscarriages were late on. Um, I've my earliest miscarriage was 9 weeks, but my longest pregnancy was 23 weeks,
Um,
where I lost my son. So technically, I gave birth to my boy,
mm,
but it was still classed as, oh, she just lost another.
mm,
And it's like, no, I've given birth to my son, but because he wasn't alive, he wasn't in my arms, it's like he never existed for the community. For me, he did. I had like a proper pregnancy. Like I was 6 months pregnant.
yeah, that's quite a term. 6 months
Yeah.
pregnant, the baby. And as you were, experience that pain and that sadness, what did you want to hear from people? You said you wanted to be acknowledged, but what could people say to you at that time that would have been more supportive?
I think what I really wanted to hear was, I'm so sorry for your loss. It's so simple, yet people struggle to say that when someone goes through a miscarriage because to them it's not seen as a loss. But for me, it is a loss. You know, I heard comments like, oh, don't worry, you'll just have another. You can get pregnant again. And, those are not the comments that I want to hear when I've just lost my baby. So just a simple, simple thing. I'm so sorry for your loss.
Mhm.
That's it. I mean, you say that to anyone who's lost someone,
Mhm.
a mum, a dad, a grandparent, auntie, uncle, any other relationship, you would say that. I'm so sorry for your loss. So why is it so difficult to say to a woman when she's lost her baby that I'm so sorry for your loss?
It sounds like such a simple thing to do, but I think people are in a hurry to say, okay, just move on now.
Yeah,
And that can be, like you said, a really hard thing to do when you've experienced such a loss and all those hopes and dreams and emotions that come with a pregnancy, and you sort of
exactly.
moving, people wanting to rush through that moving, but it's a grief.
Yeah.
It's
It's a grief, it's an emotion, and you have to go through that grief yourself. You have to grieve the baby. And people don't understand that grieving is part of healing. And we carry that grief with us for so many years because we're not allowed to heal in that sense. We're not allowed to grieve. And then they wonder why we're not the way we used to be before our loss. Because technically you haven't allowed us to grieve so we can heal,
yeah.
you know.
And what do you think it is in particular in the South Asian community that makes it so difficult to talk about this topic?
I do believe it's a generational thing passed down because I know my grandma had losses, my mum had losses, and then I had losses. Now, when my grandma had losses, she never told my mum.
Mm,
My mum, when she had a losses, she never told me.
mm,
It's when I had my first loss at 25,
mm,
that's when my mum told me about her loss.
mm,
And it's just something that it's like a learned behavior. It's a generational learned behavior that, because her mum didn't do it, she didn't do it. And then she decided to tell me. And then it was like, okay, I won't do it. But now I'm the one who's changing. I'm breaking that cycle
yeah,
that no, we are going to tell people, we are going to, acknowledge people and their babies and women and their babies. But there is like a whole learned behavior that has been passed down by generations. And if you do look back, there are older people, there are older women who have been through these losses and just never speak about them because it just isn't done.
yeah. And what do you think, if it was more out in the open, if your mother had said, before you got married or after you were married,
Mm,
trying for a family, that said, oh, this is a possibility? Because I don't know about you, but I never had those conversations.
no,
And about, oh, by the way, there are certain things that can happen when you're trying for a baby or in pregnancy. But I feel like there's just a lack of any sort of discussion
no.
about anything that can happen in pregnancy.
It's all about getting pregnant. As soon as you get married, it's about getting pregnant. Like, have you had a baby yet? Are you pregnant yet? Are you pregnant yet? There's no such thing about like, it can take years to get pregnant. Some people are lucky, but for some women, it can take time. For me, it took an average of 3 years between each pregnancy to get pregnant. My mum's average was 5 years, and she figured that out herself. I figured it out myself that every 3 years I get pregnant. That's just the way my body worked, and but we're not given that education or knowledge before we get married that, even after we get married, like, people are asking you these questions. But for someone to just turn around and say, look, it might not happen straight away. It might take a year, it might take a couple of years, but it will happen. But the constant pressure of you've been married for 2 years, how come you're not pregnant yet? Why is there no baby yet? Have you been to the doctor yet? Those are the questions that really send you into a spiral of emotions when you are trying, which makes it so much harder to even try or conceive a baby.
Mm, imagine, yeah, that pressure on, and suppose one of the worst things is that if you're experiencing loss and you haven't told people, you haven't made it public, but then people are still asking those questions.
Mm,
I mean, you said you went through was it four miscarriages
yeah.
before you had your daughter, and during that time, how did you cope with the reactions of people?
Not a lot of people knew.
Okay.
Like you said, like it was very hidden. Like it just stayed within the four walls of our house. My mom and dad and just close family members knew. And it was very much like, don't tell anyone that you've had a loss. Don't tell anyone. And when people would come and question me, I would just be like, oh yeah, just pray for me, hopefully it will happen, and there was a whole sense of like, I want to tell you that I have been pregnant. I want to tell you that I've lost my baby, but I genuinely can't because It's frowned upon. I've been told that I can't tell you. Um, and that was really hard because technically I was pregnant and I am a mom, but I wasn't able to say that in that time, which is why I found that creating Asian Miscarriage Hub was so important because for a South Asian to actually come out and say, "Hi, I'm Asiya. I've had four miscarriages, but I'm a daughter. I'm a mother now to a beautiful 5-year-old," which technically means I'm a mother of five. People don't understand that still. When I walk into a public platform and say, "I'm a mother of five," and people look at me like, "Wow, a mother of five." But then I go on to say, to four angel babies and one living baby. That's when the conversation changes. And they're like, right, okay. I've kind of unsettled people. I've made them uncomfortable. And that is the whole point of Asian miscarriage is to have this conversation, make people uncomfortable, but make women like me comfortable enough to say, I've had babies and I am a mother, which our community just doesn't understand.
Mm. Yeah, you're right. At this time, I don't hear those conversations. I don't hear women speaking as openly as you do. So I think it's great to almost create that disruption in thinking.
Yeah, I'm here to make you feel uncomfortable.
And
I'm
maybe
here to trigger that, and be like, oh my God, why is she using the word miscarriage? Why is she even telling people that she's lost babies? That's what I'm here to do.
do you feel that in some cases, and it happens a lot in South Asian communities, but there's almost, oh, there's a shame or a judgment. And the
Mm,
women, when they go through the miscarriages, I imagine they could be feeling, it might be an automatic response, like there's something wrong with me. Should I be ashamed of this?
yeah,
There's nothing. Our bodies are all different, right? They happen in a lot of cases. I was looking on the Tommy's website. There are, in a lot of cases, there are unknown reasons for miscarriage.
yeah.
And there's nobody to blame, but yet that stops people from having the conversation, that fear of judgment, that shame around it. Did you experience that yourself?
I just want to pick up on the thing that you said about there's nobody to blame.
Mm.
Our community is very quick to blame the woman.
Mm.
It was always about there's something wrong with you.
Mm.
Whenever I had a loss, well, has she been to the doctor? Has she got her chest checked out? There must be something wrong. She's probably not eating properly, or she probably did this. It is us who get blamed. And, I have a genetic condition, I would say, passed down to me. I have an incompetent cervix, which is basically a weak cervix. Um, so that was the reason why I was miscarrying. Mine was genetic, and my paternal aunt has that. And so what happens is as the pregnancy goes on, your cervix weakens and you go into preterm labor. That was the cause. I was one of the lucky ones. Because I was using my voice, I was fighting for it. I was like, I need to know what it is. Which is why I then went on to have my daughter because they were able to put a stitch in my cervix to help me get to term. I was on complete bed rest. I had, my cervix is still completely stitched up if I wanted to have another one. They only leave a gap for a period or to get pregnant. There was no way of the baby coming out or anything. I had to have a C-section, and that's what helped me carry to term. But again, it comes down to the community just finding someone to blame, finding something, and it's like, it isn't my fault. These things do happen, but you coming in and saying to me, well, you must have done something is not helping the situation because right now I'm feeling like crap anyway.
Exactly. Mm.
And you're coming in and you're judging me and telling me that I did something wrong is not helping me, but it's deteriorating my mental health as well. And that's another thing where mental health comes in because no one actually understands the impact it has. I stopped going out. I didn't go to social events. I didn't go to weddings. I didn't go to parties. I refused to meet people because I was in a state of mind that I know if I go there, I'm going to be questioned again. Like, you've been married 9 years now. Why is there no baby? And it was a form of depression I was in. And my only goal in life was to have a baby now. But there's so many other goals that we can achieve. But because the community is like that, a woman is just made to feel like, no, you have to have a baby.
It's marriage, then kids, and they seem to be
That's it. And that's it. And then be a mother for the rest of your life.
yeah, yeah, self-sacrificing. Don't have your
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can take everything. And you mentioned your mental health there, and during that time, did you feel that you were able to get support for your mental health?
No, no. That's the honest and straight answer. No. Because every time I spoke about it, it was like, you'll be fine. Just pray. You'll be fine. I, Faith and prayer is a big part of my life. It is. I'm not gonna lie. And when I was pregnant, I had a lot of faith. I would pray. I would pray and pray. And then when I would lose my baby, my faith would kind of fall. My trust would, collapse a bit. And that's quite normal. And I don't want people to think that, I'd lost my faith or I lost my trust. I didn't. I was just broken. Where I'd held that trust for so long, where I'd held that faith for so long, all of a sudden my trust was broken. I am going to feel broken. And it takes time to rebuild that faith, that trust. And when it comes to mental health, it was all about, oh, just pray, you'll be fine. But no, actually, when I look back now, I should have gotten the help. I should have gone to someone to speak about my emotions. I should have reached out. I wish I'd known about Sam's baby loss. I wish I'd known about Tommy's baby loss. But I was kept in such a box, in a circle, that I wasn't allowed or I wasn't able to reach out and ask for help.
Anything offered to you by like the clinics when you went through the loss? Was there any aftercare or any support for you?
I remember a bereavement midwife coming to see me on my fourth loss, and I brushed her away because it'd only been like 12 hours after I delivered. And you're not in that frame of mind to actually comprehend what's going on or even speak to anyone. I remember her coming and I just said to her, I don't want to talk to you. Because 12 hours earlier, I'd just given birth to my son, who is not here anymore. My body is still having contractions. I'm lying in a labor ward. I don't have the mental capacity to actually speak to you right now. And I remember her coming back the following day and she spoke to me, but I still don't remember what she said.
Too soon.
I just don't, I have no idea, Priya,
Did you say
because your body's in like shock anyway. And for me to think, oh my God, it's happened again, it it just didn't register what she was trying to say to me. So I brushed her off, and after that, I didn't get anything.
okay? So there must be a consideration of when is the right time to help, or at least
Yeah,
trying a little while later. Actually, just coming back, did you say you were in the labour ward after?
yeah,
So with women
mm,
that had their children, would have their baby?
yeah.
Oh, I can't imagine.
I was in a private room, but I was still in the labor ward.
Okay, that must have been awful.
That's when I said to my husband the next day, I just need to go home. Like, I just cannot be here.
That sounds awful.
That was hard to be there.
And speaking about your husband, often we go through these and we go through them with our partner. How was his experience, or if you've spoken to him about it, what would he say about going through that journey of trying, yeah,
Men are quite funny with their emotions, aren't they? Like, he still doesn't speak about it.
okay,
But he was the one who encouraged me to start this.
okay, then
It was his idea.
right.
So I have to give it to him. Whatever I'm doing now, wherever I go, whatever I do, I have to give him the credit because it was him who said you should speak out, you should do something. Um, but he no, he would never come to the forefront and speak about it. It was one of those things where he said, like, I am not gonna come and speak. I'm not gonna I will not. You do what you need to do, but I'm here to support you. Till this day now, he just
Mm.
yeah. I know that emotionally it was hard for him. He didn't cry in front of me, but I know he did cry a lot. Um, and it again it becomes to the society, the South Asian community saying like you have to be strong for her. If you break down, who's going to look after her? Who is going to be there for her? And it's so important to realize that men have their own dreams to have children. You know, this pregnancy was their dream as well, especially after loss, where they have tried so hard as well, you know, to get through the pregnancy with their wives. And it's really important for us to acknowledge the fact that they are going through their own sets of emotions. It's not just the woman. Yes, physically we go through it as well, but mentally they are also going through something.
Mm.
And instead of saying to them, like, you have to be strong for her, maybe go to him and say, I'm sorry for your loss too, because that is their child as well.
Mm.
It's not just mine. He's been on the conceiving journey with me. You
Mm.
know, for him, it's been a journey as well. So it's so important to look at the men in this situation.
Mm. I think so too. It almost sounds as if you've both gone through it, but you're grieving separately
Yeah.
instead of, you know, it's such a
Mm.
difficult time because you're both trying to be strong, but actually you're grieving apart.
Yeah. Where he's trying to be strong for me, I'm trying to be strong for him, but we're not actually talking to each other. You know, and it's like we're a team, but we're trying to not trigger one another in any way.
It's part of that mentality of men must not show emotion, men must be,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. We have to be strong.
for their own mental health support, I
Yeah.
do them many favors to have that front,
Yeah.
which is a shame. But since you started the Asian Miscarriage Hub, what changes, if any, have you seen when when you're talking about, you know, this topic to others?
So when I first started, I was very shy. I'm not gonna lie. I was a bit like when I used to talk, I used to be like, oh, hey, hello, hi. But as time has gone on, I've kind of obviously found my confidence and done everything. But the biggest change I've seen is women are actually coming forward and saying, this happened to me. And that's what I wanted. It's just for them to acknowledge the fact that I have had a loss. I did have a baby, and that baby is forever mine. You know, whether the community accepts it or not, or acknowledges it or not, I did have a baby. You know, and for our community to just come and say that, for the women in our community to just come and say that, that's a win because you are breaking that barrier, you are breaking that stigma where we were told not to say anything, but I'm coming to say to you, no, tell me, you know, say it out loud that you did have a baby. And that's where the narrative is changing now, where women are coming forward and they are beginning to say that.
Mm. Are you finding that on your Instagram channel that that women are coming to you with their stories?
100%. I've heard so many stories, Priya. It's unbelievable. Like, yeah, some of them are shocking
Mm.
to even think that in this day and age, like, you hear these stories.
Mhm. I think that's the thing that on the surface, people believe or will say, "Oh, we've moved on, things have changed." But when you get into the stories, and I've had conversations with other women about their own fertility journeys and the reactions of those around them, you really think, "Oh gosh, I don't think things have changed enough. That there needs
Yeah.
to be more conversation, there needs to be more change." And I look forward, you know, you've got a daughter, I've got two daughters, and I look forward to the next generation and just think, I don't want, you know, God forbid something happened to my daughter, they're going through something. I want them to be able to speak about it, to cope with it,
Mm, mm,
to be able to process
yeah.
happening to them and to be able to have these conversations with people that are important to them.
I was just gonna say for them to just be comfortable to come and say to us
Mm.
as mothers, because we are open with them. My 5-year-old daughter, either now, I always say this story. She knows about mummy's nappy days,
Right.
my periods. She
Okay.
knows about it. So she calls it my nappy days. And it's breaking that boundary where she knows enough, but not too much. She asked me once what these are in the bathroom cupboard. I told her. I didn't brush her off. Because what I found growing up was when I asked my mom a question, I was brushed off. Oh, no, no, we don't talk about this. We don't, no, no, no. And that made me more curious. Like, what is it that my mom's hiding? Like, I just want to know, and you go around trying to find out these answers. But she asked me, I told her, she's like, okay. And that's it. She's never questioned it again. It's because I gave her the honest answer she was looking for. And that's it. The barrier's broken. When she's old enough, she'll kind of know what it is, but then I'll tell her properly.
It's the right age for more detail, isn't it?
Exactly.
Curious about things that are
Yeah. Right now, it's age appropriate for her. She's 5. It's a nappy. Okay, mama wears nappy sometimes, and that's it.
and they are very curious.
They are curious. I'm at the stage now where I forget to put my pad in my bag, and I'll be like, either go get my purple nappy from the cupboard, and she's like, okay.
Yeah. And that's the thing, I suppose that's the starting point is when a girl's body changes, when they hit
Yeah.
puberty and start their periods. And this is probably, another episode for another day when we start talking about periods openly
Mm,
instead of having,
yeah.
I had probably one conversation with my mother beforehand where she told me something about it. And I was like, okay, okay. And then it happened. And that was it,
I didn't even tell my mum when it happened, Priya.
Oh,
I was so scared. What I learned about periods was in school, and then when it happened, I didn't tell my mum for 3 days.
oh
I
God.
kept chucking my underwear away. I was like, I'm gonna die. Something's gonna happen to me. And then when I told her, she was like, "Oh, it's just a period." I was like, "Oh."
And but
But me and my mum were never that close in that sense. Like we never had these conversations. And again, that comes down to generational learned behavior because her mum was like that, so she didn't know any better. So for her, it was like when it happens, I'll speak to her. I won't speak to her about it any sooner, or I won't let her know about it. And that's another thing that's just learned. So now, because I've started speaking about a lot of things, my mum is more open to these conversations.
So you're seeing a change in her.
I'm seeing a change in her. I've seen a change in my dad, and it's because I am changing that. We talk miscarriage is a normal talk in our household now
Mm,
because of what I do,
mm,
because I have these conversations. And my family members will speak to me about it, and I will say to them, I'm so sorry you went through this. That's it.
mm,
And they're comfortable enough to tell me. And that's what I want to change. It's like, you should be comfortable enough to say to someone, I just had a loss, or I'm not thinking about having a baby because I miscarried last year. I'm not in the mental mind frame of it right now. Just to say that to someone.
mm. Yeah, and not worry about the shame, the judgment, or what might become.
No,
You can
exactly.
story, then you're in charge of your story when you say it, how
Yeah.
to say it, and just let people know.
And you don't even have to go into detail about it because it's about you. It's your story. You choose what you want to share.
Mm,
You choose what you want to tell people.
definitely. And there's so many different strands to it, isn't there? It's not a simple topic. It can be complex for everyone. There's so many emotions
Yeah.
involved in it. What would you say you want to see like 10 years down the line? Where do you want this conversation to be moved to?
I think what I would really like to see is just the community acknowledging the word miscarriage. That's it. It's as simple as that. I just want the community to actually understand the word miscarriage and be able to use the word miscarriage because we don't. People are afraid to even say the word miscarriage.
And what kind of spaces are you speaking at now? I know I've seen you at different events on but it really seems to be taking off. Like from this perspective, it's amazing to see that you're finding spaces to bring out that.
Yeah. Do you know, it is hard, I'm not gonna lie, because I also work a full-time job and I do this. So it is hard. But I'm finding ways, like I'm on your podcast, I'm doing another podcast in a couple of weeks' time. Um, I am looking at other public platforms that I can speak on. So it's not easy, because people are reluctant to be like, oh, she talks about miscarriages, you know. And I'm like, doesn't matter. Just let me come and make that audience uncomfortable. And people are afraid for me to make people uncomfortable,
Mm,
you
that,
know, but it's when you make people uncomfortable is when the conversation starts.
mm. It's funny because you're the one that's gone through that journey. You've had
Yeah.
they're only listening, but you're there to challenge their mindset.
Mm. That's literally what I'm here for.
Mm. It's so interesting, and I think it's such an important piece of work. And where, my whole platform's dedicated to hearing those experiences from South Asian women because there's so many topics we don't talk about enough.
Mm.
Last week, I spoke to someone about their IVF journey and going through 12 rounds of IVF.
Wow.
Almost killed her at one point, and she
Gee.
still carried on and had one more, which then was successful. But it's just sharing those journeys and giving women a voice to saying, actually, I've been through this. And then I also find that it's the women that have gone through these experiences that then want to share with others.
Mm.
It's all on them to do so.
But also helping the community understand like what a woman actually goes through because of your comments,
Mm,
because of what you say to her, what she goes through, and you have no idea the impact it has on her body. Because at one point, I felt like I was doing it for the community, not for myself. Like I was getting pregnant to make people happy
mm,
because they wanted to know why I wasn't having a baby, and I was trying to get pregnant for them, not for myself. It almost became like a chore,
mm. Because that was
you
the
know, because I didn't want people to say anything to me anymore.
mm,
And that's the impact it has. And people and the community, the women, even the men don't understand that.
and it's I see slowly things are changing though, and women come under different categories now. There are more options for women. I know
Mm.
that are child free by choice,
Yeah,
child free not by choice,
yeah,
and it's really difficult. I think sometimes to get into those conversations where, I don't want to be prying. I want people to feel comfortable sharing what they want to share. And it's up to them, like you said, they own their story. It's up to them how much they want to share
yeah,
naturally in the community because we've been so raised that it's marriage and children that the questions just come up.
yeah, yeah. 6 months into the marriage, it's like, why are you not pregnant yet? You can have a career once you've had your children. You can enjoy yourself once you've had your children. We just want to enjoy being married. And it's like, yeah, you could enjoy it after kids. Like, oh,
As we know, everything changes after
it
kids.
does. Yeah, everything changes. And the other thing is, the one thing I want to quickly touch upon is having a boy.
Yeah, okay. You want to go there? You know my feelings on this topic, and maybe that's something I haven't yet shared on this podcast, and I probably will do an episode on it. But
I'll
be
share mine happily
yeah,
because after I had Ida after 12 years, I had someone phone me and say, don't worry, you'll have a boy next time. And I was like, right, a boy is everything, isn't it? Not the fact that I've just had a daughter after 12 years. She's living, she's happy, she's in my arms. No, it's all about you'll have a boy next time.
I have no words because it brings out this huge feeling.
I'm telling you, these are the things that happen.
Yeah, and that
And
is
the stories I hear,
yeah.
our community is just not happy.
No, it discounts everything that you've been through. And
Yeah,
when people make those comments, it discounts the child that has just been born into your world, like that you've tried everything for. You've been through so much heartache. You finally got a healthy, beautiful child, and then someone
yeah,
says, "Oh, but next time, go for a boy."
yeah, yeah.
It riles me to no end.
Honestly, I feel you. Trust me, I do.
They just, like we said earlier, they don't understand the impact those words have on a woman.
Yeah,
When they say, next time it's a boy, I've got two daughters. I'm one of four daughters. I have three younger
yeah,
sisters. So it's something that always stays with me. But, in your journey, for someone to then turn around and say that, it just, how did you cope? Was there a response for that? Because I know sometimes you can give it.
I gave no response. I just handed the phone back to my dad. I was like, here you go. Like, I'm just gonna enjoy this moment with my daughter. I'm just gonna like it, sometimes like they just shock you. And I just sat there shocked. I was like, what the hell just happened? Like how do they even now I'm baffled. I'm still like, I cannot believe he said that to me. Um, Again, I think it is education, isn't it? And generational stuff that we've been handed down, and they think it's normal to say this stuff when it's not. It's just that learned behavior that they've seen their elders do, and now they do it because it's normal for them.
Yeah. And it is in their thinking, but at that time, it may have been normal when there was only
Yeah,
one breadwinner, when there
yeah,
was all that was important in those families. And it's a shame that, we're still going through this now, even though women are working, women are educated, they can earn money, they can be equal breadwinners if they want to be. Like we have
yeah,
more choices and we believe in our daughters. We raise up our daughters like we do our sons. They can do
yeah.
everything.
That they can achieve anything.
Yeah, that's
We're not here to hold you back. I think we're that different breed now where we're breaking that cycle once again, that you can do whatever you want. You don't have to be a doctor because you're a brown person.
well.
You know, you don't have to be a lawyer or a doctor because you're brown. No, you can do whatever you want.
Exactly. It's just such a shame that, and I suppose maybe when we're talking to people from that generation, that we need to have it in our own minds that those comments are going to come, but how am I going to react to it? How am I going to deal with
Yeah.
it? That's their thinking. It's no longer my thinking. I know it's not your thinking, um, but we still hear it,
There's
unfortunately.
still a long battle to fight for you.
Yeah, I feel that too. But this talking about it is definitely one way to help change that narrative, change that thinking, and just say to people,
Yeah.
no, it's not okay. It's not okay to say any of
Yeah.
that when you have daughters and not celebrate your daughters in the same way that
Yeah.
you've done. That is not okay.
Yeah.
And I'm a big advocate for that because we need to make sure our daughters feel just as loved, just as cherished as, just like sons are. They're the
But
same.
also, like, we as mothers are their role models. They're watching us.
Mm.
Yes, the fathers are there, but they're watching us. Like, I won a highly commended She Award last week.
Oh,
And
congratulations.
thank you. And Isla's been celebrating that for 2 weeks. For her, it's such a big thing that my mum won an award. And it's all about, Mum, can we go and celebrate? And I'm like, what are we celebrating now? She goes, you won the award. I was like, okay, fine. So we went out for some cake. And now she's like, Mama, we need to have an award party for you. And for her, it's such a big thing that my mum has done this.
Mhm.
She bought an award home.
Mhm.
And that's already changing the narrative in her mind
Mhm.
that my mum is achieving stuff and so can I,
Mhm. Yeah,
and that's where it all comes in again. Like, it's not about boys.
yeah, exactly. About women making waves, changing the narrative, and
Yeah,
role models, like you just said.
yeah.
Oh, but Afia, thank you so much. I think it's
That's okay.
good to hear from you. And congratulations again on the award. I
Oh,
mean,
thank you. I should have had it here, like
yeah,
in the background.
showing it off. But it just shows that you're making waves in the community. It shows
Yeah,
people are listening, hearing that message, and hopefully it's changing attitudes along the way so that when we do hear stories of miscarriage or people being childless not by choice, then can think about our reactions appropriately and be supportive without being
mm,
judgmental.
mm,
Yeah, and make that change. But thank you for
yeah.
sharing.
No, thank you for having me, Priya. Honestly, anytime.
Thank you.